You're listening to the Veterinary Innovation Podcast.
You're listening to the Veterinary Innovation Podcast. My name is Shawn Wilkie, and along with my awesome co-host, we interview the innovators in this space every week. Ivan, go ahead and get us started.
Hey, I'm Zach, and I'm excited to introduce a colleague of mine with a really awesome last name, Dr. Keith True. So, Dr. Keith True chose a career in veterinary medicine because of his love for animals and a desire to pursue many entrepreneurial opportunities the field offers. After graduating from University of Illinois College of Veterinary Medicine in 2014, Dr. True became a partner at three hospitals in the Chicagoland area. During that time, he developed expertise in orthopedic surgery and discovered a love for building successful businesses, including the foundational work of developing strong, cohesive teams. His interest in business led Dr. True to pursue a master's in business administration through the University of Illinois, where he will complete his studies in 2023. He and his wife Lauren are parents to four children and enjoy traveling the world, sightseeing, and running marathons. Dr. True, welcome to the show. Thank you for finding the time.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
So, I need some parental secrets from you. How do you enjoy traveling the world with four kids? I can't convince my wife to travel with two because the youngest is a little bit rambunctious. So, how do you manage that?
So we just actually did our first international trip with the family. Me and my wife have always, she's the best marathon spectator I've ever seen. I think that's probably harder than actually running them, but we just went to Berlin and London over the fall to run the two majors there and brought the kids with us. And it was actually went a lot more smoothly than I expected it to. So we have a lot of confidence that we'll be able to do pretty much anything after navigating the entire family halfway across the world. So
Awesome. I wonder now, that's a tough choice between would I like to run a marathon or would like to watch the marathon with four kids on hand? Both are really, really challenging to agree to on my side. But you managed it. So tell us all about it. So you're embracing the career development and growth in our domain and for the veterinarians, and you are teaching or showing an example of ownership or partnership in the practices. So tell us all about it.
yeah, so I think that, let's rewind back to the beginnings of veterinary medicine. And, and not so much the beginnings, but what did people come out of school doing? And a lot of that was focused on practice ownership. And, it's a great way to, do what we do as veterinarians, but also a great way to set a foundational success for developing business leadership and, creating equity in a business that we can continue to grow. And as time goes on, I feel like that has started to go away. Not many people want to go out and start their own practices or partner into their own practices anymore. And there's some real benefit, not only in regards to setting up your success financially, but also being able to direct your career in the way that you want it to. And I really want to show veterinarians and veterinary students the path is not as scary as we might make it out to be, and really promote that type of career path and remove the fear out of that too.
That's amazing. So, like many that will potentially go down the road that you're now promoting and trying to help people forge a path and a career with, you went down the path, sold your practices, and then what happened to get you to this point? What made you decide, oh, hey, I want to show people how to kind of maybe take the same path or slightly different one? What was the origin story for this new business that you've created?
Yeah, so the path I took, I came out of school and I ended up going to work for a group of practices that I had actually grown up in getting mentorship as all the way from high school through college through vet school. So I did set myself up early on, in even before I was in veterinary school, to have a place to go back to who knew me and knew what my career goals were. Now, yes, we did sell that group of practices, but what that had allowed me to do is be able to get into a position of ownership and partnership and gain equity very early in my career, which then built a financial base that allows me to go and do the next step of my, what excites me and really allows me to unleash that entrepreneurial spirit that I have that, I think the idea is to change the veterinary medicine for the better and improve something that, I think we can all agree on is struggling in regards to the overall health of our profession, as well. So, I hope that we can show veterinarians and veterinary students and even hopeful veterinary students that, hey, this is a great career to go down from multiple different avenues.
So, what's the name of the company, and what services are you providing, and who are the people that you're looking to serve?
Yeah, so I'll sum it down as easy as I can, what it is now and then what I envision this becoming. So our company is True Vet Potential. I'm gonna play off of my name that fits well, I think. But what True Vet Potential is now is really about making young associate veterinarians, making young owners aware of what this profession can be. And, I think one thing that really drove me to kind of open the eyes of people and veterinarians is I felt like in school we were always taught, or not necessarily taught, but the the way that the profession was discussed is, hey, we're not in this for the money, we're in this because we're caring, compassionate individuals. And it never sat well with me hearing that, because I think we're doing ourselves and our families an injustice in saying it that way. We can love what we can do, we can be excellent, compassionate, caring veterinarians, but if you make a great living doing that, why is that frowned upon? I can be a great veterinarian, but I can be a veterinarian who has a high earning potential and builds excellent net worth. I see that as money's a tool that allows you to do as you please, become, what you want, fund your kids' college, donate that money, whatever that might be. It just never sat well with me to say that, we're doing this only because we are compassionate and love animals. So, True Vet Potential is really aimed at flipping the narrative and, not only teaching veterinarians that, hey, it's okay to, go and start your own business or gain equity in the practice that you're in and really focus on building your net worth and helping, guide your career in the way that you see fit because, hey, you're the boss now. Now, that is what the company is now. The pivot of this company will become is really focused on empowering the veterinarian to actually pursue that step. I think a lot of veterinarians and veterinary students are kind of teetering on the edge of like, hey, maybe it would be very, exciting to start my own practice or partner into a practice, but there's always fear that I think stops a lot of people from doing that. And what True Vet Potential aims to do in the next phase of our growth is facilitate that growth. Whether that is helping to consult and starting new practices, whether that's partnering with veterinarians to start practices, but really trying to ease the fears that, financially veterinarians might sway them into not taking that next step. And I think that, whether it's student loan debt or, the other risk that you're taking in starting a practice, I think there's a lot more reward that comes of it than risk. And I think if we can help remove that fear, I think a lot more veterinarians are going to enter the realm of ownership and not only help dictate the future of what veterinary medicine looks like, but also build wealth for themselves and keep that money in the veterinarian's hand, as opposed to seeing, all of it going to, other realms of the industry too. So, not only do I want to succeed, but I want to see my colleagues, my veterinarians who have given so much of their time and effort and compassion, I want to see them succeed too, and that's really what True Vet Potential aims to accomplish.
So let me ask you this. I'm very entrepreneurial. I think I'm very entrepreneurial.
I can confirm that you are.
But when I was in vet school, I was very much excited about all the science behind it. I was, maybe this is a disclosure, but I was never truly sort of loving puppies and kittens. I love the medicine and the discovery of the disease and investigation process. That's what excites me about the medicine process. And then I was really focused on learning as much as I can about it. And then we had this rotation in the fourth year of vet school, where John Tate, who is one of the most brilliant people in business in Canada, he gave us a 2-week rotation on business. And I don't remember what he was talking about, But in 4 years of vet school, that was the only time that we learned anything about the business or the business acumen as such. And then I remember only one thing, how I felt after that. And I felt that I was screwed because I had no idea what the business is about. And I'm like, all right, I know how to treat animals, but I have no idea how to run the business. So if I ever want to own the clinic, there's nothing that I can get even close to learn about it. Now, if John Tate turned around and said, hey, would you like to learn more? I don't know if I would be intrigued at that point, because as you graduate, you want to be the better surgeon, better radiologist, better, general practitioner. You want to do internship. The main drive for the students is sort of proceed that medical, if you will, career. And then how do you see pivoting that view? And again, this is why I started with the premise of me being entrepreneurial. I have that mindset, but I didn't at the end of vet school, even though 2 weeks after it, I went to Russia and built a diagnostic lab. But I was not able to sort of, pivot in that moment and think I need to know about business more, and I want to know, which is very important. So how do you think you will be able to shift the new grad, or, the students, or I don't know, what's the focus of your endeavor?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. And I think, if I'm going to flip that back at you a little bit, now, if you had that rotation or that learning experience in your first year, how would that have changed? That I think if you flip that and start preaching entrepreneurial opportunities and growth on the business side to first year students, and showing them what being an entrepreneur can do for your career, that gives you time to now spend the next 3 years, 4 years learning more about that topic. If that scared you as a fourth year, I think that is probably going to sway you away from going down the business side of it. It's like, hey, we did get into this because, we are scientists at heart and everything, but we can take that and take charge of, what we're doing on the scientific route and create, an excellent life for ourselves on the business side. I had a mentor and a teacher at University of Illinois, Dr. Larry Firkins, who really has, and I still talk to him to this day about, what this company is and just what, I see veterinary medicine becoming. But he had a course every year, and it was an elective. But I think when we make business training an elective, only the people who go into veterinary school knowing that that's an option are going to take those electives. If we start teaching and just opening the minds of young veterinary students about what the business acumen, what entrepreneurship looks like, I think we get a lot more people invested and excited about that opportunity. And the one thing I will say, and we talk so much about work-life balance and our life outside of work. When you become an entrepreneur, you can dictate the path your career takes. And I think when we invest time and effort into building something that's truly ours, I think that really not only gives us drive to keep doing what we're doing, but can be a lot more rewarding. And I think that contributes to what we can see in improved work-life balance too. So I think there's a lot, other than just looking at it as business, let's start connecting the dots of what being a business person or what being an entrepreneur can mean. And I understand not everybody's going to go out and own and practice. That's unrealistic to think that. However, just having some background knowledge on numbers and what the hospital's earning, and I do tell my new associates this too. I'm like, hey, know what your production is, know how much the hospital's making. That's going to help you make more informed recommendations or salary negotiations when you come to that point. And I think really having that business acumen can help us veterinarians, know what our worth is and know what we should be asking for in salary negotiations, especially if we are an associate too. So I think you can look at it a lot of different ways, and learning that business knowledge and that business acumen early in our vet school is a very valuable thing, regardless of what career path you take.
It totally makes sense. How the heck are you going to do this?
Yeah. So first of all, with what we're doing now, I've given a couple talks at VBMA conferences and at some individual schools, and I'm looking to expand upon that. So That's kind of my gateway to getting this message out here. And albeit this is very True Vet Potential is in its infancy. I've just really launched it at the beginning of this year, but my goal is to get out to all of the veterinary schools and be able to discuss this, just like we are here, and be able to ask questions and take students out, have one-on-one conversations, and just show them what this project is that I'm working on and how it can, not only benefit, me and this company, but how it's also going to benefit them as well. So, really at this point, we're focused on that. And, going back into what True Vet Potential is, it's really focused on three pillars, right? So the first pillar is really about empowering. And I think that's what we're talking about here. How do we empower the veterinary students to open their minds to what entrepreneurship and what business is? And I think that's really my focus right now in the early days of this company and this endeavor that I'm dealing on. The next pillar is focused on the new veterinarian, the younger associate veterinarian, somebody who is kind of dabbling in the field. We call that evolve. That's the second E. And that's something I really am already doing. I've taken on other partners within the hospitals I've run and taught them the business side of this, and show them what their careers can become if they ask for a little equity and invest some time and money into that business. So I want to expand upon that too. Not only just in the practices I have right now, but also the next round. What is this? I want to find veterinarians who want to learn more and be able to help them pursue that next step. And then finally, the last E is all about emerging. You become an owner. What's next? You can't just become an owner and that's it. You have to continue to learn how to grow as a leader, as a doctor. You have to keep your hospital up and running. This isn't all about just business. You still have to know how to do the medical side of this. But and then just fostering that continued growth. Career goals for everybody are very different, and I think in that emerge stage, we have to identify what those career aspirations are of those people. Do they want to stay in one practice forever? Do they want to expand and grow into multiple practices? Do they want to start being an entrepreneur, much like we have been doing here as well? So, but I think how do we do this? I think it starts with the students, and really opening that up, and then I'm looking to grow it from there.
So very interesting. I think it's very much needed in our industry. How do people find about your craft, and how do they learn about what you do, and how do they learn more?
Yeah, so my website is up and running. It's truevetpotential.com. There's a lot of information on there. I will also be releasing blog posts, social media stuff to really get all of the information out there. We'll also be in the coming months doing some online webinars, developing some online courses in order to get the message out there and help people learn. My goal is to be able to show veterinarians that there's a way to really take control of your career and continue to love what you're doing for the long haul. And because you've spent so much time, so much money, so much effort in getting to this position, I really want to see the effects of burnout and all of that really go away. And I think I know you guys have contributed a lot to that field too. I want to contribute to it from a different route too, and focus on some of their aspects that might be able to help fix the issues that our profession faces right now.
That's awesome. Dr. True, thanks for joining us. We got a couple questions as we wrap up here. We ran out of time like we always do. First one's a TED Talk YouTube video, something that inspired you that you came across that you'd like to share with our listeners.
Yeah, so I'm going to recommend a TED Talk here. Most of my reading at this point focuses on business school, which isn't that exciting for what we're talking about here. But there is a TED Talk that is given by Emmanuel Acho, who is a former NFL linebacker. And it's all in regards to talking about setting goals. And, I think we always hear like, oh, what's your goals? What's your long-term goals? And he doesn't like setting goals, basically. He thinks it confines him to a box and it limits innovation and it limits, what we think can happen. And one particular aspect that he discusses is, nobody thought running a 4-minute mile was possible. And, here we are. It's like you're not winning a medal without running the 4-minute mile. If we ever worked inside that box or that goal of, I want to run that 4-minute mile, and, that was the end, where does growth go from there? And I think that goes into a lot of what, I'm preaching here. I've never been one to work inside a box. I don't like being limited. And that TED Talk really struck home with me. And I think it's really actually changed my way of thinking too.
That's awesome. And we also asked the second question, and it is, who would you recommend as a guest on our show?
Yeah, so somebody I would recommend who's helped me not only in my career, but in the practices we've built. His name is Jason Sanderson. He is the owner and president of it's called RWE. It's a construction company that really is focused on the real estate and the construction of veterinary practices. I think we can all go back and picture, some of these older practices from, the 60s, 70s, and, now what our practices are today. The practice I'm sitting in today doing this podcast from is a 10,000 square foot building with 9 exam rooms. And we were an honorable mention for the building of the year at DVM 360. So I think he has taken, and his company has taken, the classic veterinary clinic and just turned it upside down. They build just the most magnificent buildings that are tailored to what the veterinarian wants and what the client wants. And I think it's just a very exciting field to see these very innovative and just amazing hospitals being built. And I think that's going to change our industry for the better too.
Thank you so much for listening to the Veterinary Innovation Podcast. If you want to hear about our new episodes, please follow us on any social media channel. Also, you can check out our website at veterinaryinnovationpodcast.com. See you next week.